Hello all. Today let us continue with the previous chapter that what we had started from the chapter cell. So the last class we had studied about what is the cell, who discovered the cell, or how was it discovered, and microscope, everything we had studied. We also understood about the variations of the cell, everything. Now let us start with the next topic, that is the structure of the cell. What is the structure of the cell? It is also nothing but the what is cell actually composed of, or what are the parts of the cell. So coming to the structure of the cell, that is nothing but three important parts are present. One is the plasma membrane, then it is the cytoplasm, and it is the nucleus. So what is plasma membrane? It is also known as the selectively permeable membrane, or also known as the semi-permeable membrane. Why is it known as? That we'll discuss later. Coming to the next, it is the cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like substance which includes all the cell organelles. So what are the cell organelles? These are very important for the cell as all the activities are taking place inside this organelle. Coming to the next, the nucleus, which is also known as the control center or the brain of the cell, because it controls almost all the activities of the cell. So children, this class we will study about what is a plasma membrane, why it is known as the selectively permeable or semi-permeable membrane. We shall also study what are the important functions of the plasma membrane. So here children, we can see the structure of the plasma membrane. So this is also known as the fluid mosaic model. This was first given by fluid mosaic model of the ultrastructure of the plasma membrane. This was first given by Singer and Nicholson. So what does it what all the things we can see here, what are the important parts of it? Here this is why it is known as fluid mosaic model. It is made up of bilayer of phospholipids, that is two layers of phospholipids are present. Along with phospholipid, it is also containing two types of proteins. What are these proteins? They are also known as extrinsic proteins and intrinsic proteins. So extrinsic proteins are also the proteins which are present in the surfaces, either on the outer surface or on the inner surface of the lipid bilayer. Along with extrinsic proteins, we also have intrinsic proteins where we can find them. It is along with the phospholipid bilayer. So what are the things we can see here? It is a phospholipid bilayer. This phospholipid bilayer, the nature of it is somewhat fluid. That is, it is a fluid in nature which contains about this extrinsic as well as intrinsic proteins. Along with that, plasma membrane is also made up of glycolipids as well as fats. So when it is observed under an electron microscope, we can say that the proteins can be compared to that of the icebergs which will be floating in the sea of the phospholipid. So this is what the ultrastructure of the plasma membrane. Why it is having such a structure? Because for the easy passage of the materials in and out of the cell. We know that cell membrane is also the selectively permeable membrane. Now the name gives the correct definition, that is, which enters only the required materials inside the cell and it throws out of the materials which is not required by the cell, or those materials which has been given out as a waste product after a certain metabolic activities inside the cell. So children, this is about the structure of the plasma membrane. This I'll be posting it. This is only for your reference so that you can understand better about the structure of it. So moving to the next, that is about the functions of the plasma membrane. Plasma membrane has four important functions, that is diffusion, osmosis, endocytosis, exocytosis. So what is diffusion? So for that, let me make you to understand with a simple experiment here. So imagine children, here we have kept a cell. So first thing, what is diffusion? Diffusion is nothing but the movement of particles from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. How is this possible, or where can we see this? example, alveoli. Where do we find the alveoli? We know that it is also known as the air sacs, which is present in our respiratory system, which is responsible for the exchange of gases inside our body. That is, alveoli is responsible of giving oxygen to our blood vessels. That is, how can it happen here? Because in blood vessels, the concentration of oxygen is less. Whereas in alveoli, concentration of oxygen is more. Now we can see here the movement of oxygen or movement of materials from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration is nothing but diffusion. So here it is the oxygen more in alveoli. So from here it moves to the blood vessels. One more example, it is the other way, that is carbon dioxide from blood vessels to the alveoli. That is, in blood vessels, carbon dioxide concentration will be more, whereas in alveoli, carbon dioxide concentration will be less. Again, you can observe that is the carbon dioxide, that is a movement of particles from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration is nothing but diffusion. So children, the definition of diffusion is very, very important. Moving to the next function, that is osmosis. What is this osmosis? It is very similar to that of diffusion. The only thing here is it is the movement of the liquid particles. Here we will take the example of water. That is movement of water from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Here the semi-permeable membrane is nothing but our plasma membrane only. So apart from this, we can also take certain other examples where we observe this osmosis. Yeah. So before I enter what is hypertonic, isotonic and hypotonic, this you people will be confused. What are these new terms that we are observing here? So what is osmosis? Just now I told you it is a movement of water molecules from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Children, if you observe here, these are the cells what we have taken. So here, what is hypertonic? Hypertonic, it is nothing but where the water concentration is inside the cell. That is, more of water is present inside the cell. Water is less outside the cell. That is, now the water will move from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. So here, since water is moving from inside the cell towards the outside. Why it has to move? Because to maintain equilibrium, that is to maintain equal concentration inside as well as outside the cell. To maintain that, the water will move either from inside to out or outside to in. Here it is in hypertonic, that is water is more inside the cell, less outside the cell. Hence, water will move outside the cell to maintain an equilibrium. In such a case, what happens? The cell will shrink in its size. Here we can say higher solute. Here solute we can take it either as salt or even sugar also. Here higher water is more. So salt is more outside here. Water is more inside the cell. So it moves from inside to outside. Hence water moves out, the cell will shrink. Such a condition takes place in hypertonic solution. Moving to the next, isotonic. Isotonic is nothing but equal solute. That is, water is equally present both inside the cell as well as outside the cell. So there will be no movement of water molecules from inside to outside, neither from outside to inside. Hence, there will be an isotonic solution. And the last, it is hypotonic solution, wherein the solute is more inside. That is, water is present outside the cell. Hence, from outer atmosphere or outer environment, it moves inside the cell. As and when it enters the cell, we can see the cell will swell up. Such a condition takes place in hypotonic solution. So children, this also comes under the osmosis, wherein the movement of substances takes place from higher concentration to lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. So extended of diffusion and osmosis is nothing but endocytosis and exocytosis. What is endocytosis? It is also known as cell eating. Example, amoeba. So we know that how amoeba takes its food, right? From the pseudopodia, it absorbs the food. So it enters through the plasma membrane. From the plasma membrane, it enters. Here plasma membrane is nothing but the permeable membrane which allows only the food particles inside the cell, that is inside the amoeba. Here plasma membrane again acts where the concentration, that is the food is present outside the cell, food is absent inside the cell, that is also the cell eating, a process of osmosis we can say. Along with that, exocytosis is also known as cell vomiting, that is it gives out, the cell will vomit out, that is it will give out all the unwanted materials which has been present inside the cell, again through the plasma membrane only. So children, this is about the functions of the plasma membrane. So be thorough with the process of diffusion and as osmosis, nothing much difference. Here it is the movement of the gaseous molecules in diffusion, whereas osmosis is nothing but the movement of the fluid molecules. Here we take only the major example of water, because water is easy to move in and out of the plasma membrane. So this is about the cell membrane. In addition to cell membrane, our plant cell contain one more exterior layer, what we call it as the cell wall. What is this cell wall? It is also the complex substances which is made up of a kind of carbohydrate, that is the cellulose. Coming to the cell wall, as I told you, it is made up of a complex substances which is a kind of carbohydrate, that is the cellulose. So what is the functions of the cell wall? It makes plant cell turgid. Turgid in the sense it gives more mechanical strength also. Along with that, it is unlike the plasma membrane, it is freely permeable to water and other substances. So one more term I have written here, plasmolysis. What is this plasmolysis? This happens during the hypertonic solution, that is where the water molecules from inside the cell moves outside the cell. In that case, the interior portion, that is all our protoplasm gets shrink, which is away. Now the cell wall is present here. Cell wall, it is a rough diagram, children, please. So here we have the protoplasm. This protoplasm will shrink completely. This shrinkage of the protoplasm away from the cell wall is nothing but the plasmolysis. So this is very important. When does that happen? When the cell is placed in a hypertonic solution. Okay children, so this is about today's class. Next class will start from the nucleus as well as the cell organelles. So today's homework. So answer these two questions which is in page number 61. Blue colored questions. How do substances like carbon dioxide and water move in and out of the cell? You have to describe it. Then why is the plasma membrane called a selectively permeable membrane? Write these two answers in your class work. Okay.